This is for Reese. This is for Claire. This is for me. I'll see you in hell. Welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
And hi, welcome back to A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas.
Yippee!
Welcome back. So, first off, if you hear a little bit of a difference, yours truly got a courtesy of help from my mom, got a mic, finally.
Yeah, so we're trying a different setup now. We're both wearing headphones this time, and Tabi has a mic as well, so.
Yeah, so I have a headphone mic, and it's literally cat ears from their Razer headphones, and they're the cat ears because I specifically saw them in a C-drama once.
And because they're pink. They're pink specifically. She's going full, gamer girl here.
I know, and that's never been my type at all. For me, myself. I'm into gamer boys, but anyway. So, yes, we will be going through chapters 57 through the end of 60 today. So, a little bit of a shorter one, but there's definitely a lot of information jam-packed into here, and so it'll be a more chiller episode than the last couple we've had. So, this is ramping up before the season finale, before the last episode. I still can't believe.
Insane.
I know.
It feels like time has just flown by.
It feels like we're slowly inching, but at the same time, it feels like it feels like we just started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, wow. So, yes, I will do my previously on A Court of Mist and Fury. So, yes, previously we talked about the illustrious chapter 54-55 scene.
Lovely.
Finding out that they're, Reese and Faber are mates, and then their subsequent honeymoon, I guess?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Honeymoon up in the cabin.
The fucking cabin.
We need to get that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, indeed. The fucking cabin and the fucking cabin.
The fucking cabin, yeah.
I don't care how many times I say it if people think it's cheesy or cringy. I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's pretty good.
I think it actually works really well. That's why it's our inside joke for chapter 55.
I agree.
And then obviously we came back to camp, and now guess where we're headed. So for this episode, we will be going through going back to the Mortal Queens, which of course...
Well, that'll be fun.
We all knew how it was going to go, but somehow it made us even more pissed off.
Of course it did.
And then we move into the first attack of this war sequence. So we finally get first attack, and then the aftermath. So now we're planning to go to Highburn now. So now it's showtime. Mm-hmm. All the build up from the actual plan of this book has been to this point. So this is the pinnacle before the end.
Yep.
I'm so excited. Why don't we just hop right into it?
Yep.
So yes, we're finally back at the sisters' estate. Everybody is where they were beforehand. More Azrael. So everybody's there except Amarin.
Mm-hmm.
And so we finally, we get a little bit of information from Feyre that it's spring now, which it's crazy to see how much time has passed, because the time when she went before, it was winter.
Right. Which is subtle hints that Sarah's throwing at us.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So the gravest of insults. So it's an immediate, there's no build up. Only 2 queens show up to this meeting.
Damn.
What an insult.
I know, they couldn't even make time to show up.
But yeah, so only the eldest queen, the bitch one, and then, I mean, they kind of all were bitches, but specifically her, and then the golden-haired queen show up.
Right. To be fair, those two weren't they like the only two that talked the time before?
Yes.
So technically, in a way, it's like, if the others aren't going to speak, don't bring them. But at the same time, it is strange that it's just the two of them, and kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, definitely, because, this is a high lord in his court. This isn't just it's some other fairy. So the difference between this time and last time is that Feyre and Rhysand show up hand in hand in their finery and crowns and all that, and it's so sweet. I love this quote from Feyre here. It's, they were a song without beginning or ending.
Wow, makes my heart go pitter patter.
The cheesy romantic shit that we all crave.
We need a little bit of it from time to time.
Though I don't appreciate the queens noticing it and sneering at it. I was like, ooh, no, fuck off.
No.
I already don't like you. Do not give me another reason.
Don't come out like our main couple here.
So, obviously, yes. The ancient queen tells them that they were gravely insulted last time. And then they look to Nesta.
Gravely insulted? You insulted them in their own home.
Yeah, it's like, I do appreciate the gravitas of Nesta just not giving a single fuck.
Yeah.
Just like hearing that and going...
just like...
Just a shrug of, okay, how could you be insulted by me?
It's like, it's my fault if you've got your feelings hurt.
Yeah, so she's saying that they debated, which is total bullshit, by the way.
100%.
One human defying them and saying, like, the truth, they were so gravely insulted that they were debating coming back. It's like, how thin of skin do you guys have? Like,
pretty
you guys
thin.
are goddamn queen. You probably get ridiculed all the time.
Oh, 100%.
But I kind of felt sad because I actually thought the golden-haired queen would be nice. Like, I was a little bit upset by what she says in here because I was like, dude, I thought she was okay. I thought she was a little, of course, biased, but there was a level of grace about her that the other one didn't have.
I definitely was thinking, like, to me, it felt different than the first time. The first time, yeah, she was kind of bitchy, but you're right, she had like a level of grace. And then this time, it just felt like she was different.
Yeah. And I think that leads into what we learn in this next part of this section is, like, I kind of think that she was playing that up a little bit. Because last time she was, but of course, my first reaction was not that she was playing it up. I thought she was being sincere. I was like, dude, she's like ripping. Why? Why is she ripping into them like this? But yeah, like, so the ancient queen says some shit about Nesta, and then it's like to sow like the seeds of discourse. It's like, okay, we'll just stop you there.
Right.
So the golden haired queen says something interesting. She looks to Feyre and she's like, oh, so he won your heart after all.
Wait, what?
So wait, was it, first of all, I was thinking, was it really that noticeable to them? Yes, it was.
It was.
But it was also noticeable to everybody but her.
Right. But also the fact that the queen is talking about like winning her heart and stuff, like, oh, that's a little confusing.
Yeah, it's like, wait. Well, and then, of course, what we get by the end of the chapter makes more sense that she said that. But, so, the Golden Queen says some bits that are interesting here, okay? Feyre brings up about how, like, the cauldron brought them together and something, and so she's talking about fate, right? And the golden-haired queen says, our people do not invoke a cauldron. Our people do not have magic. Let me just stop you right there. You guys just winnowed in here.
Yeah.
So that is complete bullshit that you think that you don't have magic. Okay? So let's just throw that one out there. So she's very much, okay, there's your people and our people, and she's claiming that Nesta and Elaine are no better than the children of the blessed.
I just find that so funny, thinking back to the first book, how opposed they were to the children of the blessed.
Even when they were actually the ones helping Prythian during the curse.
Dying
like they were
for
the aides.
Yep.
I know. It pisses me off because, like, okay, it's one of those people who, we're talking about something important, right? And they're bringing up something that doesn't even, what does this have to do with anything?
Right.
What does this have to do with anything about the book? Nothing. So anyway, it just made me mad. She's like, so what happens to them? What happens when they go over? It's like, okay, they probably do get killed. That is their choice to go over.
Choice, yeah. Honestly,
knowing
that is their choice. Honestly, when I was reading this, I was personally just feeling like you said, like, what is the point of this? Why are you bringing this up? And I started thinking, well, they waited for a very long time to meet them the first time, and then they waited a very long time to meet them the second time, claiming some bullshit about they've been insulted. It just feels like they're stalling.
Oh yeah. And
it's like, stalling for
I
what?
Agree. So obviously we have the Veritas orb, right? So for people that don't remember, that was the thing that they went to the Court of Nightmares for, to get them to see Valaris. So Feyre tries one last time to convince them of her and Rhysand's love. At first, when I read this the first time, I was like, wait, why would that sway them? They don't seem to give a shit about anything, let alone like, oh, because he loves you or whatever. That I get it now because of the context of he loved a human, so he wants to protect human. Like, I didn't get that the first time.
But they also just don't understand because they don't understand love at all.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, they don't seem to like care, let alone about your guys' love. So I don't think that's the best way to convince them.
No.
So anyway, so she tries one last time before, and then I'm not saying it's Feyre's fault, but this inevitably leads to the confrontation. I don't think it's Feyre's fault necessarily. I think she's just bringing a point, but this definitely leads down the rabbit hole. So she brings up how Elaine is marrying a Fae-hating person, but Elaine is still standing with them, which is a good point. Yes, they are, Nesta and Elaine are, you know, putting themselves in a bad position with like legit everybody. to I guess I didn't also see that first time too. I was just like, help your sister, but also there is a level of societal norms that's getting broken here.
Right.
But the queen immediately goes after Elaine and Nesta is like not having it.
No.
So the queen says something about, she's like, well then she's an idiot.
Like, is this the language that should come out of a queen's mouth?
Yeah, she's like, idiocy. So it's not idiot, but idiocy. With the Y, it's queenly.
Huh.
Dude, Nesta with the most venom is like, do not judge what you know nothing about.
Hey.
And then the queen's like, the viper speaks again.
It's like, yeah, we better watch out for this viper.
They're so scared of her. I feel like they're more scared of Nesta than they are the big Fae males in the room.
Oh, 100%.
I love how in all of their thinking about not coming back, not one of them was about the Fae males in the room. It was legit just about her.
It wasn't the Fae males. It wasn't the fact that they have, like, well, I guess they technically don't have their swords, you know, or, you know, maybe the most powerful High Lord in Prithian. It's not about that. It's just little Nesta, little sweet Nesta, who has a viper's tongue and a iron will, and who sometimes can't hold back her thoughts.
I don't think I've ever seen sweet and Nesta in the same sentence before. So that was you know what Cassian reminds me of? Cassian reminds me of those guys on TikTok with like the venomous snakes and just being like, oh, look at this beauty.
Yeah.
And then like touching it and just being just like, oh yeah, look at, and then they bite them or something. Okay, let's say like a not poisonous one is just like, oh, they're just showing me how much they love me. We're all sitting there looking like horrified, but like, okay, you know.
It's like, okay, to each their own.
It's like, oh my god, that is their relationship.
It is.
Sorry, you brought up the snake and I was like, yeah, Cassian is kind of like that.
He does like a sweet little viper.
Oh, anyway, Feyre stands up for Nesta because they immediately go after her. She's just like, okay, this is my sister's house. She's, with dad gone, she's the woman of the household. I'm not going to just kick her out of this meeting.
Right.
Like, she stands up for her sister even when they have a strained relationship, which I think is such a common theme throughout their whole relationship. Strained, but when it matters, they stand up for each other.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so after that failed ass attempt, Moore pulls out the Veritas. So Moore is the only one that can use it. And it's really chilling. It's kind of cool. I didn't really pay attention to it. This was kind of the first time I paid attention. It's almost like it was a movie. Because they said there was smoke and Moore's voice changed to a very ungodly presence.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh yes, I am the Moore again. I speak truth. Da da da. It was so cool. And I didn't even honestly pick that up the last couple of times. It's like a smoke movie. I just want to see more of her powers, honestly. I just, you know, if that's what it is.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of it yet.
Because, like, what is a truth power? That's my question. Her power is truth. I want to know more about that. And so the Veritas shows them a flying shot. It's almost like they're going into Rhys's eyes and seeing him fly over Valaris.
It kind of makes me think if Moore's power is truth, then maybe in a way, like, she can make sure that she sees the truth. And so, or like make other people share the truth, kind of like a serum or something. So it's like, what if like I guess we don't really know how the Veritas orb works, but like if she made Rhys share the truth and then like using magic, it was like loaded into the Veritas orb. So it's showed the truth of his memories.
Yeah, that actually makes sense because doesn't Feyre say something about there being love in the image? Feel the love, you can feel the emotion in his image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. It's cool. It's definitely a sight to see. So obviously Rhys explains it to them. Valaris has been a secret for 5,000 years and whoops, not anymore. So, you know, he's like, oh, this is a play of art and quality and where like the high fae and fairyarchies, what did I just say?
Fairyarchies. That's a new vocabulary word.
Honestly, yep, I just made it up now. I mean, honestly, that's what like Tarquin was trying to abolish, right? Valaris is like it's kind of like utopia to them. The fact fact that Rhysand and like all the other high fae can walk around and there's not this hierarchy around them.
Yep. And there's also the fact of fairies and high fae alike can all be there. And
Yes.
I think, didn't like Rhys also mention that if humans had made it to Valaris, he would let them in?
Yes.
So it's like, literally anyone can go there, assuming they have no malintent.
He wouldn't let them in before because their minds were too fickle in terms of trying to keep it a secret.
And they bred like rabbits.
Which is so funny. So after all of this, after all that more closes the Veritas orb, whatever, even after all this, she's just like, your trust is appreciated. So, hold up, bitch.
Frickin'.
What the fuck? This was the whole, which is, I brought this up to you. I don't want to yell because I have the mic on me now, but I brought this up to you and we said this in the episode when we first met them. They didn't promise anything. There was no, okay, tit for tat, if you show us this, we'll give it to you. They literally said that. They were like, okay, we would consider it.
Right.
There was never a promise made.
And so Rhys said that he would take that risk, but...
But again, being Fae as they are, you need to get a fucking it's all about the specifics, dude. Even the humans know that somehow. So what the fuck? So all of this was pointless.
Yeah. And they revealed their city.
Yeah, and they're not going to give it to him. Because they're like, they're basically saying, okay, they're giving some bullshit like, okay, we'll consider, but not really.
They're definitely stalling.
And I was kind of like you. I was like, why? What are they looking for? So here we learn one of this. Oh my God, this is so fucking sweet. So we learned that, back way when, there was one time that Rhys wrote a letter that Feyre, because all of them wrote the letters together. But there was one letter that Rhys sent by himself.
Yeah.
And, okay, it's only a couple lines, so I'll read it out loud.
Yes, please.
I write to you not as a High Lord, but as a male in love with a woman who was once human. I write to you to beg you to act quickly, to save her people, to help save my own. I write to you so one day we might know true peace. So I might one day be able to live in a world where the woman I love may visit her family without fear of hatred and reprisal. A better world.
Well,
also, who does that sound like?
There's that better world coming back there.
That's what I was just saying?
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah. So Rhys wrote a letter to them pleading about him loving a human and how he wants their people to be friends.
He wrote not as a High Lord, as a male in love. And this was before Feyre found out that they were mates.
Yeah, this is way before. This is way before they made it. This was
knew, obviously, as we know now. He knew they were mates.
Yes.
He also fell in love with her, even though they weren't like officially mated.
Yes.
And he had the guts to put himself out on the line like that.
I think it was during that time when it was like them waiting. It was like when I brought up that one episode before the mini chapter episode. It was during that time that he sent it.
Yeah.
What a fucking bitch for someone to condemn that emotion.
Yeah.
You'd have to be like heartless. And they are heartless.
They are.
So all in all, the queens are just like, this is some kind of grand manipulation. Rhys is just going into their minds and doing whatever they want.
So,
don't they know? Hold on. Don't they know their own fucking lore? He can't go into their minds because if he does that, then the book's gonna fucking implode on itself. They can't
know that.
Like physically, he can't do that.
They're gaslighting him.
That goes. Oh my God, they're so dumb. Though, thank God, Nesta's there to the rescue, saying what we were all thinking.
Thank you, Nest. Thank you very much, Nest.
This was definitely when I started to like her again because we were both on the same side.
Yeah.
She said, "This is the talk of mad women, of arrogant, stupid fools."
Who have castle walls to hide behind.
Dude, Nesta's like intimidating them. She gets closer. She's like, give them the book. Like, oh, shit.
Yes, threaten the queens. Threaten the queens.
Threaten
we all
them.
know who the real queen here is.
Oh, yeah.
Show them who's boss, Ness.
Like, honestly, she's just calling them out on their bullshit.
100%.
I love, love, love this, though. Because remember, we brought this up and we found it. You said this during one of our mini episodes. Nesta doesn't say sister to Feyre a lot. It is very rare that she calls her a sister.
That's true. That's true.
And here is one of the few times. She's like, there are innocent people here. If you will not risk your necks against the forces that threaten us, then grant those people a fighting chance. Give my sister the book.
Yes. First, like, spitting facts, but also sister.
I know, because she knows now, maybe she was a little bit hesitant at first. She knows her sister's intentions are good.
Yeah. Whereas she already hates the queens. And then on top of that, they insulted Elaine. So she hates them even more now.
Like, they lost their reputation a while ago.
Oh, 100%.
But I love how the same woman, the same queen who said, fuck the people on the continent, was like, well, maybe we can have an evacuation. It's like, no, you can't.
What do you mean, maybe?
Like, and Nesta's right. Apparently she did, like, the math, which we love a woman who does math.
Uh-huh.
She was like, you would need 10,000 ships to get us all out. Yes, it's a small sliver of land. There's a lot of people on that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're readying for war, they're not going to spare anything. So obviously, Nesta's right here.
Yeah.
And she says she pleads with them. Pleading.
Nesta doesn't plead.
No, we have never seen her like this. And this whole time, it kind of makes me mad, honestly.
It does. When you see a strong character begin to, like, beg for shit, that's when you know, like, well, shit's hitting the fan. Because you know that, like, they would not do that unless they absolutely had to.
It's like Nesta knows and is trying to placate to them one last time. It's like, okay, so threatening them didn't work. What if I give them what they want? Pleading them to save.
Right.
Okay, that didn't work because these bitches are heartless. Okay, so I'm doomed. We are doomed.
We're all doomed.
So I love how, so after all that silence, she's like, get one of those winged males to help you. Oh, he will.
Yep, no doubt about that. He will.
You bet your ass he will. That's not the fucking point.
No.
Just because they can save 2 girls doesn't mean they can't save the entire fucking... Like, they're not worried about them.
No, they're not.
For once, Nesta and Elaine aren't worried about them. They're worried about everybody else. All of their servants that they're going to have to leave behind if, like, go. You know? All the innocent people there. So beautiful. Oh my god. This made me, like, ship them even harder. So Cassian steps up right next to her and says, like, the epic of lines. The only reason I'm reading all these out is because I need to read them word. 500 years ago, I fought on battlefields not far from this house. I fought beside human and fairy alike, led beside. I will stand on that battlefield again, Nesta Archeron, to protect this house and your people. I can think of no better way to end my existence and defend those who need it most.
This is such a good male.
Such a good man. Oh my god. See, again, pure genius of Sarah's writing. I not only love Rhysand, I love the side guys as well.
They're not even side
almost
guys.
As equally.
Yeah, they're more males than some of the other people we've seen.
I know, like, they are not side to me. They are in their own canon.
Yeah.
And oh my god. He is so sweet. He hasn't talked this whole time. He hasn't talked the last time either.
Yeah, neither of them did.
Dude, and Nesta, bro, okay, this is monumental. Everybody, even more, like, was shocked. So Nesta has, like, a tear running down her face, and he wipes it away, and she lets him. She lets him not only get into her space, but she lets him touch her.
Cass being, like, super soft like this.
I know.
And on
I was
top
like,
of that,
just made me...
in front of the queens.
Oh yeah, fuck them. They're not...
See, this is another thing. Literally, a fae male, literally looking fae, he has wings, is being super gentle and soft with a female human. If it wasn't enough to convince you of Rhys and Feyre, what about here's another example?
Proving their intentions. Yeah, they're good people. Give them what they fucking want.
What they deserve.
So, anyway, even after all of that, even after Nesta and that display, they just leave. They're like, we'll deliberate with our sisters, which is just them saying no.
Yeah.
And they get out of there they yeet out of there.
100%.
So Moore's like mad as fuck. She's like trying to stop them and all that. And she's like yelling and da-da-da. But Rhysand is very quiet. He's very stoic and he's looking at the chair. So the Golden Queen left the Book of Breathings under her chair. Girl, I was shocked. I was a little shocked.
It makes sense, though. It made sense, like, the second time I read it, because it's like, okay, that explains why she was, like, being all over-dramatic more than usual.
It makes more sense, yes. After knowing, and then especially, and, you know, I'll get to it, but what she says in her letter, it made me happy, because I was like, oh, I didn't misjudge her.
Right.
I got it right. So, yes. Anyway, sorry, I got excited there a little bit. So I got ahead of myself. So I was a little bit shocked, but before I get to what she says, I want to bring up what the Book of Breathing says to Feyre. So she said that this half of the Book of Breathings was more crazy.
Well, the first one already was
chaotic,
scary.
but it was more, she said the first part of the Book of Breathings was more elegant, and like this one was like very much talking in riddles, right? Because it's like life and death and rebirth, sun, moon, dark. And he says, hello, Lady of Night and Princess of Decay. Ooh.
Princess of Decay. That's new.
I love that, actually. Honestly, I think that's a foreshadow for the next chapter. I think, dude, the Book of Breathing, like, that fucking book knows everything.
It does. I mean, it's literally the Book of Breathings, which is connected to the cauldron which formed their world.
Yeah.
Ooh, shivers.
So, Which is good. Oh my god. So the human queen, so technically she didn't gift it to them, but she left it for them, so the magic, it was like kind of a loophole, right? It didn't say she had to give it to them physically.
Right.
Her leaving it somehow helped that.
Yeah, because she purposefully, she brought it to them, technically.
Which, so first of all, can I just say how I was grateful, but I was also scared. Because I was like, uh-oh, I don't think I think that's bad. That's going to be bad on her end. I was thinking that they were going to kill her for this, which, I mean, doesn't help where we go, but like, anyway, before we get there, I definitely misjudged her through this chapter, though. So basically what she says, she tells us a couple of important bits of information. She says, I read your letter about the woman you love. I believe you, and I believe in peace, a better world. If anyone asks, you stole this during the meeting?
That's not how that works.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Maybe they don't know how it is. Do they know? I really wonder if they know that that's what the magic is. I wonder if they do.
I mean, that would add an interesting element to it, because if they didn't, that, like, might make them a little confused as to why, like, these Fae don't just go and steal it and are asking them for so much.
I think that would also make more sense about why they think that Rhys is manipulating them, or whatever the fuck they said, but, like, I feel like that gives them more agency in a little way.
Yeah.
But she says, this is the important bit. Do not trust the others. The sixth queen was not ill.
Doesn't tell where she is. It just says that she's not ill.
That's sus as fuck.
And terrifying.
It's one of those things that I was like, oh, that's definitely going to be a next book thing. It gave me the vibe of that she's, like, dead.
Something was up, and then the sixth queen knew about it, and maybe would have told them. The other 5 queens stopped her in some way.
Yeah. Obviously, with that in mind, with what the queens told them, Rhys looks to the sisters and gives them a choice. Do you want to stay here or go to the night court with us? Which I feel like they're dumb as fuck for not wanting to go, but I understand why not. If somebody told you, hey, I got 2 red carpet tickets, do you want to come? And somebody said no. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And so obviously Nesta turns to Elaine because Feyre brings up a good point. Nesta would only go to Prythian for Elaine, which, hold on, she did go to Prythian to try to save Feyre too. She tried. So technically Nesta's only reason, or the only way she'd go to Prythian is for her sisters. But Elaine won't go because her fiance, which fucking bring his ass along too. Like, what is it? More safe people, you know? Like,
I mean, if he hates Fae, just show him what Fae are about. Maybe he'll change his mind or get eaten.
I don't think he would do well though with like a bunch of like definitely hotter guys. I feel like Elaine at some point would be just like, yep, he's inadequate.
His poor fragile human heart, his ego,
that frail male ego that we're all used to by now. So yes, obviously they don't go, but I love what, she says. Sorry, before I get ahead of myself. Rhysand doesn't leave them alone though. He said he's going to send a garrison of Illyrians, which, top quality. He's going to send to protect them, which I think is because of Feyre in a little way, but I also think it's also a strategic thing on Rhys's part.
Yeah.
Because they know everything. They know about the Book of Breathing. If they get caught, then
it'd be bad.
That's bad.
It'd be bad.
So it's strategic, but it's also like a show of good faith because now him and Feyre are together. And now he's trying to protect his family, which they're now part of.
His sister-in-laws.
To some people's dismay, because I don't think he's really happy about Nesta.
I mean, if we remember the first time, he was just like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever forgive her for what she did. But hey, he's now their brother-in-law. They're now his sisters-in-laws.
Yes, technically. But yes, I love what she says then at the end here. She's like, that was why you painted stars on your drawer. Dude, Nesta is observant as hell.
100%.
I don't feel like enough people gave her credit when they first read these books, like about how many times she called out Feyre hella.
100%. Even before, sometimes even before Feyre was even knowing it herself.
Right, but then in turn, Feyre calling Nesta out also.
On some things.
Yeah, so of course, next chapter 58, they winnow back home to Valaris straight away, give the second half of the book to Amaranth. Yes, correct. She keeps saying home now, because I think it's a sweet thing for her to say it after her and Rhys mated, because now it's like, because
she's confirmed her place.
This is because he is my love. And now technically, like we said before, she's technically, because mates are higher than husband and wife, she's technically, without the ceremony. She's definitely like the Lady of Night. That's why the book called her that. So yes, she also technically does have a place there. So yes, they go. 2 days pass, and Amren has found nothing yet. So she's been just combing through the book, trying to find a way to nullify the cauldron.
Right.
But she hasn't found anything yet. And so we're taking a roll call on where is everybody at. So Rhys and Moore are at the Hewn City, returning the Veritas so that Pure doesn't notice. And Azrael said that he went to go check on the Illyrian legions that are now camped out on the borders of the Night Court, ready for any attack, which is good that they're there. I think the funniest part about these 2 days and what Feyre describes is the fact that she says Cass and Az moved into the townhouse to stay with her.
Yeah. Which is important to remember.
Yeah, because they were up at the House of Wind, and now they're just staying in the townhouse with her while Rhys is away.
Which is sweet.
Because
also, Rhys still, of course, if you remember, like, Rhys is still not even overprotective, but, you know, he still has that male thing after their mating, which was literally, like, 3 days ago. I guess it's been 5, because they have been back for 2 days. But yeah, so it's like, they literally, like, mated 5 days ago. He's still gonna be, like, protective. But also the fact that he trusts Cass and Az to look after her, and that they want to, because now, like you said, she is Lady of Night, technically. And so they're protecting not only their friend, but they're also technically now protecting their lady.
Yeah, because I love how Rhys says that, because he's like, yeah, I mean, they want to protect you because they're friends, but also of what you are to me. You are their brother's mate, so of course they're going to want to protect you.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, still messaging him back and forth with the papers, and she's just like, I didn't know they were on sentry duty. And he says, you can kick them out, but they'll just perch on the roof. If you kick them out of the house.
Honestly, that would be a funny...
I would give anything to see them perched on the roof and, like, playing cards or something. Playing cards or, like, daggers or something.
Just, like, twiddling their thumbs.
So this is where I get like a little giddy when talking about their romance, because yes, obviously something that was good that my dad brought up the other night, because he's rereading the book for our upcoming episode. Yeah, so he brought up how, especially from a guy's perspective, this isn't a very romance heavy book. It is, but this is what I qualify as fantasy. It's not just a romance. There's a huge story arc going on, and it's just kind of the romance is in the foreground, but it's not as forward. So I love the little subtle moments where there can be romance. So I just love the back and forth sexual tension now, because like now Rhys is able to, it's very sweet because Rhys is able to be more sexual towards her like he's always wanted.
And yeah, it takes their note writing to another level.
It's almost like how we think sexting is now.
It kind of is, honestly.
He's talking about like,
fantasy.
You know, and he can send images to her.
Yeah,
you know, that's like the level of a news.
He can also send her scenarios.
So he says, oh yeah, I love how he says something about like, oh, you miss my impressive wingspan. And then she comes back and she's like, yeah, I miss it in me. And he's like, oh, he's like, yeah, you do. That is the typical guy reaction of just being like, yeah, babe, yeah, you do. Like, stop. That was such frat energy that he gave off.
It is.
I don't remember what video it is, but I wanted to bring it up because he's like, yeah, babe, you're missing this dick. Yeah. Like, that's the kind of energy it gave up to me.
They're both so horny for each other.
But it's also weirdly awkward and cringy in a way that means it very, like, to me, it's like, okay, this is something that I would say.
Kind of is, yeah.
So I kind of resonated with it a lot.
Valid.
Obviously, yes, you know, he's promising to go to that little place to buy those under things that she promised. And so she sleeps. The next day they wake up and everyone preoccupied now. Cassia and Feyre are taking a walk through the city, and it's very sweet. And it's just right. They even go to a show. They go to a show together. Wild.
Cassian, Illyria in general, going to a theater show?
Hell yes. That's my cup of tea right there. We'd be making out in the back a little bit. Just like, we're going to see a really serious show. Like, let's say we're going to see, I don't know, Les Mis or something, and I'm just sitting there just like, you want to make out? Doing a really sad.
And you know he'd be like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, of course. Anyway, sorry, that was me projecting. Let's go back. A hot Illyrian guy at a theater show? Please. But anyway, so as they're walking and then they get to the part, they honestly are at the time where her and Rhysand were standing at that bridge over the river. Feyre tells Cassian that his promise that he made to Nesta, like, meant a great deal to not only to her, but to Feyre as well. And I love how he says, I do it for anyone. Which, side note,
if you know, you know.
You know. That's Cassian's whole entire shtick. But anyway, it was very sweet because I feel Favor's trying to have a serious conversation that Cassian is not willing to have right now.
Oh yeah, he's hella avoiding it.
In terms of Nesta. Because Favor can see what they can't.
Just like everyone could see what she couldn't before.
Yeah, we were about to say the same thing. It's a reverse effect. Yes. I wrote this in my notes. I was like, Favor kind of gives Cassian a crash course on Nesta about what she does. Favor describes to him that Nesta puts up walls to keep herself from feeling too much because she cares so much that putting up a wall helps her to not get disappointed.
Which accurate.
And that's why, yes, to a certain extent, that's helpful and probably, but she's going to the few extreme where there's only a few people in her life that she'll do that to, or that she'll actually let them see. But even then, those people don't really see everything. But as Feyre said, if you were one of those people in that circle, she would shred apart the world for them. Honestly, doesn't that kind of sound like the inner circle anyway? Yes, they care about innocence, but also they care about their own.
I mean, I definitely was thinking, like, that's what Rhys said about Feyre when they met Lucien in the woods, of like, if he stole you, I would rip the world apart to get you back.
Oh, yeah.
So it gave me those vibes for sure.
So obviously she's saying this because she's like, just think about that the next time she gets under your skin.
Oh, he'll be thinking about her.
As there will be a next time. Here we go. The repercussions of their decision are finally here. I will tell you, I had such a bad feeling when they told the queens. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And Feyre did too. Girl, not even like 3 days. 3 days after they told them. And this shit happens. So obviously, before all this starts, I just want to clarify something. We're safe to assume that obviously, so Hybern is attacking, right? This is the repercussions. The human queens sold them out to Hybern, which of course we don't know why. There's no question. The adder comes in and he's like, the human queens and Jurian send their regard. It's fucking Game of Thrones. It's like, so we're safe to assume throughout this whole, when we talk about this, that yes, they are working together or someone sold information, because how would Hybern know about Bellaris? Only the human queens knew about that.
Yeah, literally, because they were just shown. So I think that goes back to queens were stalling. I think that Hybern was, after that very first meeting, I think the queens told Hybern that they were gonna get proof of like peace and something, and maybe like Hybern told them to like figure out where or what Bellaris was, basically how to attack, where to attack. And so that's why the queens took so long to respond back, to like come back and everything, because they were stalling so that Hybern could gather their forces and prepare for it. And then the moment that they got news from the queens of what and where Bellaris was, then they could set up in the next 3 days to attack.
Which is so crazy because it's not like they gave them coordinates about where Bellaris was. It was an image.
Yeah, but it's almost like they already had an inkling of Hybern, already kind of knew where it was when they saw it and described it probably to Hybern. Maybe the way that the sun was, or where the Sidra flowed, for example. If they like follow the coastline or whatever, just because, Rhys was flying above it in the Veritas.
I see what you mean. I guess like I was thinking of it too practically.
I mean, it's all theoretical.
I think it's also one of those things that it's like, well, now they know, they can see it maybe. Because remember, nobody knew that it was there. So the idea that they know that something's there, maybe that overpowered the glamour on it.
Or maybe it's the case of, I mean, I guess we don't know the exact wards thing. It's kind of, Rhys did mention like if they came, like they'd suddenly feel the need. But what if it's the case of like, say, like the adder or other creature with wings, like flew over it. And obviously they didn't see anything because of the wards. But like maybe they actually saw it, but the wards erased that image from their mind. And so now that they've know of its existence, that like cloud, that glamour, like you said, disappeared, and then they already have that image in their head.
I see. Yeah, so it's kind of up in the air. I mean, so everybody can make their own assumptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that we definitely kind of agree in that regard. So obviously, badass Cassian, automatic suit, armor, pops out. Hot. Okay.
Full on like transformation. If cartoon, we think it should be like literally it would be a whole transformation sequence.
It's like the old Winx Club videos.
Exactly.
Change clothes.
Or like Miraculous Ladybug.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a better,
like Miraculous Ladybug kind of thing. Like spots on, whatever.
Yeah, I know. So, but I mean, obviously, I kind of like, spoiler warning, I said about the adder. So there's just this black wave that they see coming towards them of just flying. And that's creepy as fuck. That's horrifying. And so
Yeah. For there to be a cloud of literal bodies in the sky.
And as Feyre describes, they're all like the adder. They all kind of look the same. Which makes it more impressive that she knew which one was the actual adder, if they're all similar. I didn't really think about that till now. But yes, Cassian wants her to go back to the townhouse. He wants her to stay in there. Which, of course, that doesn't go over well. Yeah, it goes over as well as expected. And so, but instead of saying anything, so he says it once, right? But then he immediately takes out another blade and gives it to her.
He's like, okay, you made a choice.
One time he tried.
He knows. He knows that she has power. I mean, he's literally her trainer. He knows that she is skilled. And this is almost saying like, okay, well, I tried once and you are determined to do this. And I believe in your fighting abilities now.
So, ew. Yes, they're all like the adder. So that's fucking grotesque. Dude, this shock, I was like, oh shit. So they brace for impact. Cassian leaps over her to protect her. And as they turn around, what do they see? They see the Golden Queen pinned onto the lamppost.
Not just pinned, completely impaled.
Oh, yeah. And I missed this little tidbit when I was rereading this. They pulled out her eyes.
Yeah.
They pulled out her eyes and then they ripped her hair out. So the golden hair that they talked about, like pretty hair, they ripped it out.
They're pissed.
Girl, I was like, what the fuck? How? Wait, what? This made me so fucking viscerally mad of the hypocrisy, right? The human queen sold out their own kin, their own sister, sisterly and queenly nature, to the people that they told Rhys and the inner circle that they couldn't trust.
Yep, sounds about right. Hypocritical leaders.
To monsters that they call them.
No. And brutal death.
What the fuck? This is not good. Brutal. But it's not only did they torture her before, but then like she's like slowly dying on the lamppost.
Right.
It's like a slow death. Yeah, I think with all the adrenaline, they just have to leave her because they can't do anything. Cassian tries to tell her to go back to the townhouse just because it's warded. And that's a good idea.
It's like, well, it's a good idea about like going back with warded, but at the same time, literally she's just gonna sit there feeling helpless and useless if she stays there and, you know, start feeling shit. And also, somehow they got through the wards, the powerful wards, so wards on a townhouse may work.
So, obviously, as Feyre kind of runs back to the townhouse, she's making her way back to the townhouse, but she's not wanting to stay in there. She wants to get many people in the townhouse that can fit because it's warded.
Which I think is interesting that that's what clicked for her rather than, you know, Cassian saying like, go back to the townhouse to hide. Like, I can totally see a moment of, that's not what I meant, but okay, great, good job. Where she's like, wait, wards, I can use that to help other people.
I think what stops her from doing that, because that was like her first gut reaction, but then what changes that is she sees all the blood dribbling on the cobblestones and she just spirals into the mortal queen sold them out to Hybern. Why? Like, for what purpose?
Yeah, that's the question.
If Hybern is like, because if you think about it, if Hybern is wanting to conquer humans and they don't like humans, why would they be in cahoots? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, probably. I think how I would respond to that when I was reading it the first time is probably Hybern seems like kind of fae that will take advantage of anyone. So like maybe like bribery or something of like, well, when we're coming through to attack, we won't attack you kind of vibe.
I guess I get that.
But it's still stupid.
But and I guess, yeah. So kind of Feyre puts two and two together that she knows that Hybern broke the ward because of the cauldron. Like, the cauldron broke the wards from all the way on Hybern? How the fuck?
It's a cauldron.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a proximity thing. I thought it would be a proximity thing, but I guess not.
Which is scary.
I just really like this visual of her seeing Azriel and Cassian in the skies fighting and seeing all the blue and red. I like how she narrates that, and then how she talks about the attackers, like the monsters. They're not attacking and ransacking. They're exterminating the people.
Yeah.
Like, she describes it as like, it's not like, oh, we're just going to come in, and it's like they want to wipe them out, which is like, terrifying. Yeah. But I think what's even better is we finally get to see some of Amren's terrifying powers.
Right.
All Feyre, because she gets it explained to her later, but all you see is that Amren keeps like kind of like, it's almost like she's touching them or like putting her hand up to them and they just are falling to the sky or like falling from the sky to the ground.
Even in just like the brief moment, right as, you know, it's written in the book that way, I'm like, wait, like, is she like sending invisible magic at them? And then a minute later, literally, it's about the fear, like which we learn learn later. But it's like, ugh, terrifying.
But so cool because it's like, yeah, it's on our side.
Yeah, he's with us.
So she sees them fighting, and obviously this triggers her into, again, I think this is the epitome of Feyre's growth right here. Her immediate reaction isn't to run, but it's kind of like the Feyre that we saw under the mountain coming back a little bit. Because even though she was human, that was probably the most Feyre we ever saw her when she was under the mountain, saving herself at every point.
Yeah.
So she winnows into the rainbow, the artist quarter, and she's, girl, badass.
So epic. I honestly really love this scene.
Yeah, she starts like decapitating bitches and like full on fight mode.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Well, and actually I was like thinking to myself, yeah, where the fuck is Rhys? And I was like, oh, he's in the Hewn City.
Yeah.
He's not here. And of course they decided to attack them when Rhys was not there.
Of course. So somehow they knew he wasn't there.
Of course not. Well, they knew because he was sending magic back and forth. She kind of foreshadowed that in a way. She's like, oh, Rhys doesn't care about the Hewn City.
Yeah, it is almost like as soon as their time up in the mountains at the cabin passed, it's almost like they forgot that they traced his magic.
Oh, yeah. It was like, oh, shit. Yeah, they're actually doing that.
Yeah.
But I think what's the best part about this is she's defending the artist. The quarter that she has never been to before. That she's still, this is the first time she's going in it, and she's doing it to defend people. She says her home, my people.
Yeah, because it's her people, as in, you know, she is technically, you know, Lady of Night, but it's also her people in the sense of now she thinks of Valaris as her home, and her people as in the artist.
It's layered 100%. And I think what spurs her into action is when she sees the woman holding up pipe defending her store. She sees that and she sees somebody kind of like her, and it spurs her into action. So not only is she using her sword and she's using her fighting prowess that she's learned Cassian, this was Liesl's favorite moment. So I remember how excited she was when we talked about this the first time. The water wolves.
I mean, it was slightly foreshadowed a little bit, you know, in Summer Court when she was making water butterflies. And specifically, she was like making water butterflies and then freezing them. And well, she was freezing them then later when she was showing these butterflies to Rhys in the woods. So it like kind of foreshadowed that she would create water animals and then freeze them. And I mean, I guess technically she didn't freeze the water wolves necessarily, but like just the idea of combining her powers together. So they're not just like each individual 7 different powers that she has to learn to control. She has the control of them. They are her powers. And now she can do with them what she wishes.
Yeah, and they're not, you said, they're not just like separate powers. They're working interconnectedly. Because remember how she was talking about how, because she was taught how the powers were each the High Lord powers, and then at some point she said, no, it's my power. So now it's transforming into her own
if you
mix.
think about it, literally, they were considered the High Lord's powers before because they each had one of the powers. She has all of those powers, so therefore it would make sense that when she uses the powers, she mixes them.
Yes, it's so cool to see. And I also just love I mean, it's grotesque, but it's kind of cool in the way, like, the wolves are drowning them on dry land, running after them, and then catching up to them, drowning them, and then freezing them, and then Strat. It's, wow. this is a moment I'd love to see physically. Like, I'd love to see visually.
It'd be really cool. And also, again, like Tabi said, I really like this moment. Like, she's controlling these wolves, but at the same time, she is also physically fighting and, you know, controlling, like, the other parts of her powers as well. So she's multitasking really well, where it's like she can physically fight as well. She doesn't rely simply on her magic, similar to how when Rhys was talking about his own training, and how training her. You know, those boss battles after, like, long montages, when you're finally putting together everything you've learned.
Rhys and Cassian taught her well.
So.
They prepared her well. Which is why I think, not again that I hate Tamlin, but like necessarily, it's the difference in tactic. He wanted to protect her so that she never felt like she needed to do this. Cassian and Rhys aren't doing that because they think that death row is going to come at them any moment. But it's a level of security in yourself to be able to know that in times like this, you won't freeze. I know what to do. I am prepared. And as somebody who has kind of like OCD, being prepared is my life. So it gives me comfort. Not only comfort, but security. So, and also just badass. So she catches the adder, the one that we know, flying. He's on the other side of the river running away. And she's like held to the gnaw. He's not getting away a third time.
Yeah.
This is the third time he's gotten away. He got away under the mountain. He got away when they let him go. And now he's back. And no, he isn't getting away a third time. So as she sees him she also sees that Reese appears. She doesn't see him. She just sees a black
and feels
cloud.
the power too.
Oh yeah, Reese is kind of like a thunderstorm. You
and
see it before it's
quick.
there. 100%. I did when I first read this. I was like on the verge of tears because he kept saying like, "Where are you? Where are you?" And she didn't say anything, and she cut him out entire. She's like, "I'm exactly where I need to be."
Epic in the sense, but like also putting myself in Reese's shoes. If my boyfriend, for example, was just like, I don't know, I completely blocked out, and we had like this mental barrier that we always felt each other and could always communicate. If suddenly like wall of adamant, I'm just like, no, I'm freaking out here.
I think the reason she was able to shut him out this time is because she knows about the mating bond. Because previously she didn't know it, she thought that it was just the bond. And so there was always that mental connection that she didn't really know about that he did. Now she knows everything. Right. So now she can completely knock him out. Definitely using it against him. Yeah. But not in a malice way. It's a I need to focus way.
I need to do this for my own sake as well.
She's also putting herself directly into harm's way. She is not really, she has just started to winnow. And so she decides, she winnows directly into the sky on the back of the badass, but also risky as hell because she could have just...
I mean, I guess she kept winnowing. I mean, until she ran out of power, but you know, like kept winnowing until someone could catch her.
Yeah, I guess what he was thinking was like, since she wasn't, she's not in control of her winnowing yet, like it's a risk.
That's true.
To do so. I love how so now we're at chapter 59. I love how the first thing that she does, a detail that I did not say, is that she picked up 2 poisoned ash arrows on the ground and she winnows to the rooftop with the arrows and she knifes them into the adder's wings.
Fucking revenge.
Great. That was, dude, badass. I will say, as this is happening, she finally sees Reese fighting and I love the 3 things that she says about him. She says, my mate, death incarnate, and night triumphant.
Also the fact that she's looking out for him too. Like, that's always like a good thing.
I know, because I mean, especially like what she does here, she could have easily died. Very easily have died. So obviously she honed in on the adder's energy. That's how she was able to winnow to him. Because remember how I wanted to bring up this detail because when we were describing winnowing earlier in the Rhysand said a place or an energy. So we like to think of winnowing as very much a place, a location, but also
of like stepping through the world as it's often described.
Technically, you can also hone on an energy. So it's like she caught that.
And she is unfortunately familiar with the energy.
So not only does she stab the ash arrows into his wings, she turns herself on fire on top of him.
Yeah, she's literally a fireball.
That is so cool. So cool. So like the adder's whole back is burning. And so they plummet into this free fall. And this is where it gets me. And this is obviously the quote that we chose. I love how she stabs him 3 times. This before you get too excited. I like the idea of not the 3 because she says Reese, Claire, and herself, but it's also for the 3 fairies under the mountain.
Yeah.
This 3 number is popping up a lot.
Yeah. The 3 fairies as in the 2 that she killed and herself that she killed in that time.
So that's so cool. It gave me chills because I was like, not only is it for the people that she said, oh, this is for who, it was also for, because she stabbed 3 people. Obviously she didn't kill Tamlin, but I mean, in a way you could say that they died. That was them killing their romance, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that was the end of their relationship.
Right. So, and that was badass. That's very cinematic. Like, oh my gosh, perfect, Sarah. And so, obviously, she wants to plummet in free fall so that the adder can't fly away. So she winnows at the last moment, and the adder splatters on the pavement. Bruh. Kind of ironic considering what he did to the golden-haired queen.
Yeah.
Obviously, she didn't splatter, but I mean, that was probably...
She basically did.
Yeah. Dude, I still can't. That was a death I wasn't expecting right away. Obviously, I told you my first reaction was...
So satisfying.
Well, I meant the golden haired queen, but
so
satisfying.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm glad that bitch is dead.
No,
I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I was talking about the golden haired queen, but I see what you mean.
Unless I'm secretly a Hybern.
You would never.
No, I could never.
Right. Obviously, she hits the side of a building when she winnows, and she just marvels at what she's done, which is definitely like a different Feyre than we've seen. She's fucking bloodthirsty, but it's because she's defending her people.
Yeah.
So she's kind of just shocked for a everything. And so Rhys finally reaches her and he doesn't say anything. He like takes her chin, looks up, and then he gives her a really soft kiss.
Mm-hmm.
It was so romantic. Because I feel like I've seen in a lot of fantasy books where like something, okay, I'm bringing up another book that I will have you read eventually, and eventually what I want on the podcast. It's not a plot point, so I don't want to, it's not a spoiler, but they were in like the two MCs were like in a big battle, and then all of it, like, tensions were raised and da-da-da, and then he like gives her like this really feisty kiss and then fucks her in a carriage. And it's like, there's a level of, okay, I mean, yeah, it was hot, but also I just had like an emotional reckoning. I learned some shit and now this is happening. In a certain context, that's funny, but also I feel like I appreciate Sarah making this a more tender moment than a heated one.
Yeah.
Because this is serious. No, well, not only, this is the first attack that Valaris has ever had in like ever.
Right, because they literally just revealed it for the first time in 5,000 years.
In a way, it's almost like she thinks it's her fault, which it's not. It's none of their fault, but he says, Feyre Cursebreaker, the Defender of the Rainbow.
Yet another title.
I know, she's going to have so many titles at this point.
This one, I like Defender of the Rainbow much better than Cursebreaker.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Defender of, yeah. I like how this is a shift in tone. Tonally, as a book, I love this shift because we've kind of been lighthearted throughout all of this. I mean, even at the beginning, I wouldn't say like her depression was lighthearted, but there was a sense of it just being singular to herself and her own self-growth. Now it's like, this is the start of the war. Like, to me, this is the official start of the war. Like, this is the first attack on a city that is on Prythian.
Yeah.
So to me, this is it. This is it. This is the start. And so I think they all know that, and that's why there's like this melancholy about it. Not only because their city that has always been a safe haven is getting attacked, but it's like, okay, now shit's getting real. We all were preparing for this. Now it's actually here. Da da da.
Right.
So I appreciate this tone. Because then the chapter just ends with Feyre sobbing into Rhys. It's so sad. Good God.
It's definitely a lot of emotions, though, so I understand it.
So last chapter is chapter 60. So after they have all like reconnaissance, Valaris is finally secure after all of them have been like working tirelessly to get the ward back up, kill any stragglers that were there. I love when they describe everybody in the townhouse waiting.
Yeah.
Is like them all sprawled out on the chairs. And I think the funniest moment when I was reading this again, and I didn't even notice this, is that Amren, her clothes are all in ribbons, so basically most of her is exposed.
Yep.
And she's just leaning her head on Azriel.
I don't even care at this point.
I think that's the closest they've ever been, though. I don't think they've touched too often.
No, I don't think so.
So the fact that Amren is leaning on anybody, I think Azriel just sitting there like so rigid, something's wrong. Something is wrong with her.
Right. For her to be so drained of her scary magical power, I mean, of course he's not going to refuse her.
Oh, yeah. I just like the rarity in that. It shows us, even though Amren kind of berates them sometimes, she does feel safe in their presence. You were right. Rhys describes to us what Amren's powers actually were, and she was spinning them illusions to make them think their worst fears, which is so badass. They gave some examples of like they were drowning, or they thought that they were diving toward the city to find that the street was only feet away. Bro, that's terrifying. I don't know if you've ever had dreams where you have like fallen off of a building before. I feel like so many people have had that dream where they feel like they're in free fall and then they wake up like all of a sudden.
Yeah. I mean, I do that when I'm sometimes just laying there. I'll just be laying, spacing out, and then suddenly I'll jolt because I feel like I'm falling.
Oh, I have that sometimes too, where there's this level of, I'll just jump out of nowhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
I get you. Even though it's scary, it's kind of badass. So I'm like, yeah, we have this cool girl on our side. Love her.
This cool girl.
They just keep reminding me that the women in the Night Court are just so much cooler than everybody else.
Yeah.
Now we got the three women, more Amren and Feyre in the Night Court, and they just have the cool powers. Like, it just brings me back to what Rhys said at the beginning of the book. He's only a fool would think that my Illyrian warriors are the most powerful of us.
Clearly not. They're powerful, but not as much as the women.
Oh no, not at all. So now here's like crunch time, right? Cassian, I love how Cassian is the one that takes the lead on this, because I think this last part is showing us their dynamics. Cass and Azriel give Rhys information to make the decision.
Right.
they're the ones that he trusts give him the information.
Mm-hmm.
So Cassian gives them the odds, right? He's like, okay, so the queens are fucking worms. They ratted us out. We need to do something about this before it gets bad.
Right. He's going full general mode.
Oh, hell yeah. We need to find a way to do the cauldron now. So now it's crunch time. Now we're supposed to go to Hybern. And so Amren has to stay behind because it's so sad that she has to stay behind all the time. But honestly, she's the only one that can defend the city without Rhys there.
Especially now that the wards have been broken into at least once.
Yes. And Amren does say something along the lines of they strengthen them and they'll be more paired the next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how Amren actually kind of takes a charge in this too, because I think Rhys is so guilt-driven right at the moment that he doesn't really have anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of the wise woman here. She's just like, well, what do we do? She's like, well, we sleep, eat, and retaliate. Okay, that sounds simple.
Yeah, very simple.
Oh my god, it was so funny. Well, it was Asriel that said the retaliate part, but you get the gist.
She was just like, sleep.
Yeah, she just eat, sleep, we're done.
Yeah.
So obviously, that's what they said do. So then we time jump to the end of the night, and Rhys isn't coming to bed. And so Feyre seeks him through the mating bond.
Mm-hmm.
I love how now we can just say openly, because like, oh my god, you did not know how many times in the episodes beforehand we were like, oh yeah, the bargain bond. We gotta make sure we say the bargain bond, not mating bond, because even though we know full well, I just feel like it's so good to be able to say that now.
Yeah, finally.
Breath of fresh air, yeah. So it's such a tender moment. I really love this. But Feyre sits on Rhysand's lap and they chat. He talks about what we expected him to. He feels responsible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him for feeling bad about this though, because literally that whole time that they were talking to the queens and they were getting the Veritas orb, it literally did nothing for them.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time waiting.
The Golden Queen was going to give it to them anyway. She came with it. She came with it before she even saw the Veritas orb.
Right.
So to me, yes, the Veritas did nothing for them. So there was a lot of just time were wasted on it.
Yeah.
But also, it is not his fault. Yes, it is not his fault. But I get why he would feel that way.
Yeah.
Because I would be mad if I spent so long trying to get something done and then it's like, well, this didn't mean anything.
Right.
And it's just so sweet. He immediately turns to like, you were able to like, at least shut me out. And she's like, I'm sorry. And he's, no, I'm impressed.
We all need a man like that. Yeah.
He's like, I'm upset, but impressed. Upset and impressed at the same time. He's upset as a mate because she put herself in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
But as a leader and as the High Lord, how could he be mad about her wanting to save
their
the people?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this definitely shows, if this shows a further issue, I think I'll see in their, not an issue, but something that they're going to have to deal with in their relationship is their hats. What am I wearing right now? Am I acting as a mate, as a husband, as the High Lord, as a friend?
Right.
What hat am I wearing right now? So he says he doesn't deserve her.
Out of all the males, he totally does so.
I'm thinking to myself, I don't think there's another male in Prit that would even stand to test Rhys. And of course, that being said, they fuck on the roof. Sorry, that was such a quick transition that even I laughed at my own joke.
That's good when you can laugh at your own.
It's just like, yep, they just fucked on the roof, like.
Yeah, just casually.
It's so funny because I'm like, wait, isn't everybody staying in the townhouse right now?
Right, which is something I hadn't considered until I read your note. Oh yeah, they did all move to the townhouse. Oops.
Well, I don't think they give a shit. They don't give a shit.
That's fine.
It's like, come on, it's cute.
Nah.
Just let it go.
It is.
No, but I definitely thought about that on this reread.
It makes sense. And now I'll continue thinking about it. They're hearing, which they probably are. Rhys deserves that.
Yeah. Definitely a little envious, though, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
Because they probably haven't got any in a little while.
Nah, probably not.
Sexually frustrated. We go to the next day, and thank God, Amren finally crack code the next day.
Just so happens it's the day that...
Just in the nick of time. Mm-hmm.
Of course, perfect writing.
So basically, Amren tells Feyre that she needs to touch Cauldron and speak the spell to nullify it.
It seems a bit too simple.
Does, but it also makes some sort of sense, because if she was made, it somehow is a combat. I don't know. I guess it made sense to me. But yes, it was very simple. But I think the hard part about it is getting there.
Right.
That's not the hard part. It's the getting to it. That was my thought.
That's true, because it is still on Hybern.
Yeah, and of course he's not going to let that thing out of his sight.
No.
It's going to be warded or something.
Mm-hmm.
Amren's biggest warning is that they should not put two halves of the Book of Breathings together, or it will be bad. She said...
And when Amren says it's bad...
Right, you should listen. She says that it will cause a blast of power that will draw a bunch of ancient creatures out from the darkness.
Ooh.
That doesn't sound great, actually.
No, it does not.
Because, like, that begs the question, what is sleeping in Prithian that would awaken?
Ooh, I don't want to think about that.
Oh, but it's so cool. It's so cool to me.
It is, but like...
It's just a bunch of more questions, but that just makes me even more invested.
Right. It's exit writing.
So then, of course, the guys start monologuing, and I just want to say, Azriel and Cassian going off about, like, all this military talk and all this, like, stealth talk, that's hot. I'm half paying attention.
No, you're fully paying attention to them.
Give me some credit. Yes.
I mean, same.
Yes. It's hard to concentrate, bro. Like, competent man saying a bunch of, like, actual big words.
And actually knowing what they're talking about.
Yeah, correct. So, Az figured out where the cauldron is located. He said it's on the lower levels of Castle in Hybern. And their plan is simple. Moore and Rhys are going to winnow them off the coast. Rhys is going to stay behind because they're going to pick up on his power and think that they're with him. Because obviously, of course, they think that he'd be with them. And so, plan is Feyre goes in, breaks the cauldron, and they get out. So simple, but I'm thinking to myself, that's not going to go well.
That's too simple. This is Hybern. This is like the big bad boss kind of thing. Like, it's not going to be that simple. It's never that simple. This big bad boss actually successfully attacked their city. It's not going to be that simple.
No, it's not. But let's just see what little collateral damage we can go out of getting this. Because I'm thinking to myself, this is not going to go well. I'm already getting goosebumps. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Also, because I'm thinking to myself, there's one more book. Because I read this back when there was only 3. And so, imagine that. Back when this was only a 3-book series.
Dang.
But so, I knew there was going to be one more book. I was like, no, this encounter is not going to go well.
Yeah, no.
So, I kind of love how Azriel's being a little brutal. I love his efficiency talk in terms of, like, we go in with the direct route. It's like, okay, Az, I see you. Of course, you see him, okay.
I've been watching him.
So, obviously, Rhys in mate form is finding it kind of hard to step to the side while his mate goes into the heart of Hybern's stronghold. But, as you point out all the time, it is still her choice to go.
Yes.
Because he asks her if she still wants to do it.
Even if he's, like, terrified.
Yeah, and let's remember, they just mated not that long ago. Nobody thought their mating was going to go, like, smoothly in terms of, oh yeah, nothing's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. This is to, like, an extreme.
Yeah.
Also, they mentioned that Feyre will call Rhys through the bond once she nullifies the cauldron, and then Moore will winnow them out, and that sounds simple. Again, why do I feel like in my bones that's not going to be so easy? Because remember when I was thinking about what is the one time that the bond didn't work between Rhys and Feyre?
Yep, the Hybern.
It was those Gorgian shackles. I'm not saying I see those in the future, but as I was re-listening to this, I remembered remember how he said that the Gorgian shackles were made from the land?
I was gonna say the same thing.
I just picked that up. What if it has something to do with the land? What if, like, the land is a nullifier or something? Or maybe the stone that the castle's made of nullifies it. But I don't think they're really picking up on that. And again, I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, but as I'm reading this again and remembering that, I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, they did say it was made of the earth, of Hybern's.
Yeah, so it may not, like, nullify, but it could definitely weaken, and even being weakened in enemy territories.
Right. And so I think that they think they're going in with a lot of information, but they don't know much about Hybern, so they're not going in with as much as I think that they think they know. But anyway.
Yeah.
Once Rhys asks Feyre, I love how this is her final straw of being, wow, I was treated so badly before. She finally gets it. Even after all this.
Yeah.
That Rhysand is so much... We saw that miles away, bro. That sounds like...
We saw that.
We saw that, like, in chapter 13. You're kind of behind, Feyre. Yes, it's a lot of growth. A lot of growth in one book. But steady. Not too much at once.
Hey, at least she's getting here.
He says, you choose every day forever.
Yeah.
I do love as this kind of feeling, and especially when I was reading the book, this definitely amped me up. I love this suspense. I love this pre-battleness we're feeling of, okay, they think they're going to do so well, and they're going in with high expectations, and obviously I think they're going to get destroyed. But, like, I was worried that somebody's going to die, level of worried. But there's this level of pre-epicness that I'm really digging. But of course, then we have a very soft moment to combat that a little bit. And so, remember back in the first 5 chapters of this book? When Feyre and Tamlin were together, Tamlin kept his own quarters. And so, but he would sleep with her. He'd sleep in her bed, but he'd still have his own bedroom. Their stuff was separate. And she was never allowed in his room. Love reading this again because she's kind of like, she's sitting at the crossroads like, okay, do I go in my room? Do I go in his room? Like, what's happening here?
Right.
But of course, as we well know, Rhysand is the opposite of everything that Tamlin is. So he's like, no, we're sharing a bedroom from now on. Just, it's like, okay, my room, let's go.
Doesn't matter. If it's your room or my room, we're together.
It's so sweet, because then he immediately magics all her shit to his room. That's actually pretty useful.
Oh yeah, it's very useful.
Girl. Dude, I almost fucking teared up when I reread this again. So we get another big whopping surprise. I felt like I was done with all of the shocks and surprises. Nope, it's never in a Sarah novel. Never think that.
Nope.
So as they're getting ready for bed, Rhysand gives Feyre his mother's ring.
She stole back from the Weaver.
So we learn from Rhysand that it was his mother's heirloom, and it was passed down from female to female, which is kind of cool, because it always made me think in Regency, it's always like the father's ring getting passed down from male to male. But so Rhys's sister wasn't born yet when she gave the ring to the Weaver. He made a promise to his mother that only a woman who was smart or strong enough to get the ring from the Weaver would be able to survive being his bride and or mate. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sweet. It's also, dude, honestly, Rhysand's mom was like, she was amazing. I wish we could have.
She would sneak out and fly with her son. She made sure that Rhys would end up with a strong female.
It's so sweet. It's so sweet. So it was another wave of like, oh, this has a double meaning now. So it's like, I feel like that's why a lot of people like ACOMAF as a book, is because not only of the learning the first bits of it when you read it the first time, it's such a happy feeling when you reread it, knowing all this information.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the ring. Like, dude, we had cut out a little bit of us when we talked about the ring in the Weaver episode. It's just like, oh my God, yeah, it's the ring.
It's the ring working out.
I know. So Feyre brings up a good point. Like, obviously, Rhysand is not very happy about it, but it's okay. No guy wants to say, okay, I gave you my mother's ring, and then she's like, okay, I won't wear it now. She says, I don't want to lose it in Highburn. Second, it would give us away. And Feyre's right in a certain extent that keeping them, because telling everybody that they're mates kind of puts a bounty on their head in terms of like, oh, I can get at this person by using the other person. So I get why she's saying that, like keeping it at an advantage. But Rhys says they're in the same room, they can smell them. It's very obvious. So anybody would know.
Right.
So I'm thinking to myself, this ain't gonna be a secret for long. Also, these people have been Fae longer than Feyre, so obviously she can't tell the smell.
Right.
But they can.
Right.
And of course, like, Feyre wants to do it all. She wants to have the, marriage ceremony. She wants to have the mating ceremony. She wants to do it all once everything is done with. And they survive.
Right.
And I'm going to leave us on this. Rhysand says, why don't we take it one step further? And, I mean, obviously, we know what he meant, but I want everybody to kind of put in the comments what they thought. But what did you think he initially meant by that?
I'll admit, when I first read it, that went right over my head. The fact that he said that. And then... it wasn't until towards the end, when we finally figure it out and stuff. But like that just went completely over my head.
No, dude, I was going to say the same thing. That was going to be my answer. I was thinking like, oh, is this a sexual innuendo? Are they just going to have sex right now? Like, I thought it was just I'll just take it one step further, babe. I agree with you. It went over my head the first time, which makes it so much more impactful.
Yeah. I thought it was right. I thought it was like, doing what they were talking about in the cabin of like, yeah, we can get married. Like, I wouldn't mind calling you my wife, that kind of thing. Like, they're gonna be husband and wife as well.
Yeah.
So I just thought that's what it meant, like that. And then like maybe making an official announcement ceremony or something. I don't know. But definitely, I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't notice anything the first time. But if you guys notice something, please say something, because we were definitely dumb as fuck on that one. Like...
Yeah. Hey, you can't win them all. We've been super right about some things.
But I think that's like this is the last thing I'll say before, is that Sarah does such a good job putting so many things in the background, like I said last season, where like I don't notice them. I'm so, especially on a first read. For people like us, it's almost like a trick, right? Because she makes us focus on the things that we think we're supposed to be focusing on, or we learn that don't mean anything at all.
Right.
And then we miss the thing that was right there.
Right.
Which makes me then read back. And then I think what's very funny about it, because like, I don't know about you guys in the audience, but when having somebody, I've said this to multiple people and to Liesl mostly, but there is so much satisfaction when having somebody read ACOTAR for the first time and being like, oh my God, I love this and I love this person. I'm like, But the utter joy that I have seeing them fall into that same pit that we all did just makes it that much more entertaining. But yeah, so we are done chapters 57 through the end of 60. So there we go.
Well, now we're going to move on to our next section. We are going to talk about the graphic audio. So, welcome to Tally's Corner.
We're still trying to figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, it'll get smoother as we do it, but I think this structure thing is setting up very well. So, take it away, Abby.
Thank you. I love this so much. So, obviously, even though it's a short section, God, the graphic audio hit every fucking point on this one. I know I say that every goddamn episode, but I feel like in this one specifically.
In the graphic audio, I have officially at just where the queens have the attack on Valaris yet.
Oh, okay. Well, good. So you'll hear, I mean, it's almost like I'm giving Liesl a precursor as well as you guys, so.
Exactly. It's helping me set it up. I already know like quality of the graph audio, so I know it's great. But yeah, it's definitely giving me, I mean, not that I need any more motivation to listen to it, but pumping me up.
And again, I will say another thing I'll say before I go into my rant about this is I wouldn't recommend reading the graphic audio the first time you're reading the book.
Yeah, no.
My dad is having a very specific reaction because my dad only wants to listen to the audiobook, which is fair. If that's something you want to do, I would highly listen to the graph. But if you're a reader, read it first and then listen to it. I feel like it's just more impactful that way.
Also, because we have said before, the graphic audio takes out some of the actions.
Yes.
Like he growled. Instead of saying he growled, he actually will growl.
Yes. And sometimes like the motions aren't there and they definitely cut some stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so going back to chapter 57, this is back to, we're reverting, remember? Reverting.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the sister's house during the queen's. I loved the queen's voices, honestly. The Golden Queen made me cry a couple times when I listened to this, especially when she says, I believe you, I believe in peace. When she says that, the woman who did it, I don't know who her voice actor was, but like she definitely gave her, it felt like sunshine. And I feel like that sounds so weird to say, but like it felt, you know, like the Golden Queen energy that she was giving off, that Feyre called her like a lion with a lion's heart or something.
That's cool.
It gave me that vibe so much. She was just like, don't trust the queens. The sixth one isn't ill. It got so serious. It was done so well.
Yeah.
And that moment just impacted me a lot. I also think during that whole scene, during the Veritas orb thing, it was very cool because I did notice the power more. The voice actor for Moore definitely shifted her voice into this godly presence, and it was really cool. She went from Go Lucky Moore to I am the Moore again, and it was like very epic, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, definitely Moore's voice actor coming in very powerful in that scene. And again, just loving Nesta's voice actor in mostly everything she says. Again, I remember reading or listening to the graphic audio the first time and hearing her voice, and I was, that is Nesta. I cannot think of another person. Like, she is Nesta's voice, and it's so cool to me. I love how specifically in Nesta's moment in chapter 57 when she's talking about, I think I saw more of the emotion instead of reading it, right? Because when you read it, it seemed like it was such a quick shift, but I saw the divulsion into pleading. So she starts out by, you know, there are innocent people here, and like really strong and very how she was the last time. But then as she starts talking in when she said there's like 1,000, you need 10,000 ships or something, and her voice broke.
Wow. Right.
Like the woman who did, she it's like she was divulging into this kind of sad pleading. Like she's like, you would need 10,000 ships. She was like very emotional. And then it got to the third moment where she was just like, please, please. And like this very raw emotion we don't get from Nesta very often. It was so cool. I was like, oh my God, like she should get an Oscar for that moment alone.
Right.
Again, reminding the audience, like this is a thing where you're just doing it over audio. They don't have anything to show. Like they have to show that all through their voice. And of course, leading off the Nesta moment, John, Bertolo, Cassian coming up in his great epic. Oh my God. He was so deep and guttural. I feel like he went deeper for that line for some reason. From what I've noticed of Cassian, like turned from light Cassian, you know, I will stand with you, Nesta Archeron. It was a little bit sexual. Like I don't want to say that in like a bad way, but it was a level of
That's not bad.
Not in a, I say a bad way, in a like ruining the impact of the moment.
Nah, we ship them anyway.
I think it had so many layers to it that I was surprised that it sounded a little sexual to me. Because in a way, it made me rethink Cassian's motivation for saying it. I think he's saying it because he wants to make the claim to everybody, but I feel like in that moment, the way John said it, it was like he was just talking to Nesta. They're the only two people in the room right now, which made their moment more, oh my god, it made it more like, oh, well, should we be watching this?
Right, like a more intimate moment.
So it definitely changed my way of looking at it. Not that I didn't think it that way before. It was an interesting character play.
Yeah, I can see that.
That as an actor, I was like, ooh, okay, John, I see you.
Yeah, I can see that.
So those are my moments during the Queen's visit. I mean, that was pretty much it. So chapter 58 then being the attack. Before the attack, prior to it, during the whole letter back and forth when she's talking about Cass and Az staying at the townhouse with her, I have to give it to Anthony. Anytime Anthony Palmini Rhysand, his sexy flirting all of a sudden pop out of nowhere, I have to be like, whoa, sir. Calm the fuck down. Don't make me fall in love with you for the 100th time. Because it was such a dramatic shift. And you could tell that on the graphic audio way more. Because, he's talking about, just, put him on the roof or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I bet you missed my wingspan. And I'm like, Anthony, you need to give me like a few seconds before you shift. I need to be prepared. God damn it. Yeah, so that was definitely a highlight for sure. And of course, Cassian and Feyre talking to each other was intimate, and I like that. But of course, fighting scene, the whole attack was amazing. From the small detail of Cassian's scales on his armor, hearing that sound of like it coming up.
Like covering him? Oh, that's cool.
To like hearing the flapping wings, to then, especially in that moment when Cassian shields her. Because again, if you're reading it, like this is a perfect example of what we were talking about. If you read the book, you would have read it before you heard it. So because they hear somebody plummeted to the ground, right? So I'm talking about the Golden Queen. They know it's her before it's said, but in the graphic, like it's definitely more like a scene. Okay, Cassian shields her, they hear something, then they turn around, and then she says what she sees. But all you hear is the Golden Queen scream and just this. Oh, it's rough.
That sounds graphic, all right.
That's what they call the graphic audio. Sex, violence, everything. So that moment definitely hit. And then, of course, all of the magicalness of her water wolves, the flying up to the adder, even to Cassian, Azrael, and Amryn fighting. But the chaos wasn't, because, of course, Melody is narrating above this. There's this level of chaos in the background that's constant throughout the whole scene.
That's good.
But it's not overpowering. I still paid attention to the narration and, like, I was still invested in what she was saying and paying attention. It was funny because, how we were talking about the whole lightning thing with Rhysand showing up. There was a lightning strike. It was like a storm noise.
Dang.
And it's like, oh, yep, that's him. That's Rhysand.
There he is.
If anything, I know that's the point of the graphic, but it made me feel like I was in Feyre's eyes. It made me feel like I was running along with her. Heavy breathing, watching everything go down. It definitely gave me that vibe.
Right.
Not only just like a third person point of view, but very much a first person eye account.
That's cool.
Dude, I'm bolstering them up so hard, and I don't even mean to do it. It's like it's just how I feel. Like that's just how it,
right.
Like these are my word vomit notes, so this is how I'm feeling in the moment.
Right.
And of course, Anthony saying so Rhys says, "Where are you?" 3 times, and each one of them gets more desperate and screamy.
Oof.
And at first, Anthony's kind of like, "Where are you?" Like it's very much low, and then it gets angrier the second time. He's like, "Where are you?"
Ooh.
And then the last one just gets so just pure terror, like, "Where are you?" And then like it gets cut off.
Ooh, that is cool.
And I know, it's so epic. It is so epic. And then, of course, Melody coming in with that narration right after she does, and she's like, "I'm exactly where I need to be."
Ooh.
Like, it's like, hell yeah, you are. I told this to Melody. We both said this, but we talked to her about this during our interview, was that something I noticed about Feyre's character throughout, and I think such a subtle change that nobody would really notice, but Melody subtly changed Feyre's voice throughout the whole first book and this one, along her journey. And it's such a subtle difference preference, but maybe because, like we said, we're very auditory centered. Because if you're not auditory, I understand you not kind of liking this idea of this concept. But for not only me as character actor knowing like the subtle shifts, so seeing those in the voice, but also let alone us as auditory people, it is wild. So then, of course, chapter 59 was like the very little chapter of her killing the adder, right? I mean, just epic. That's all I have to say. The idea of the very much the stabbing the wings and hearing it scream, and then her just lighting on fire, hear the flames and it burning, and hear them plummeting to the ground, and then her daggering it 3 times. And then even her winnowing away and then hearing the impact of it falling. It was just cool. Like, it was like, oh my god, I just did that.
Epic.
So that's all I have to say about that. And then, then chapter 60, of course, like the beginning was, hearing them all together, just, it's such a cool thing for a graphic audio when everybody has their own voice. Like, I get a regular audiobook there's a level to that that's nice when it's the same person doing the same voices.
Yeah.
But again, this whole point of this graphic audio is so that it feels like a movie.
Right. It's supposed to be a movie in your mind.
So it definitely, so the epicness of the suspense made it seem so much more cinematical than how it was already written because of this constant back and forth talking between everybody and how snappy it was.
Yeah.
Of course, hearing when they were up at the top of the roof and like hearing, oh my god, Anthony! He loves us talking about him, so it's fine. But it reminded me so much of when I said back, what was it? When he said, like, Feyre, I'm sorry for deceiving you in that one episode we had. Oh, it was after the other adder attack. And he said, he sounded so boyish. He's like, you shut me out completely.
Dang, the adder really be pulling these two together.
I know. The one good thing he did.
Yeah, true.
That and dying. But I love how, because that prompted her to say that, so it made more of a prompt. Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. And then he completely shifts tone in terms of, no, I mean, I'm in awe. I'm impressed. Like, obviously, he's still upset, but you can tell that there's an awe about him. And then when he says, I don't deserve you, I could just hear him snuggling up. I was like, oh, you bitch. What are you doing?
Being boyish.
I know. He's such a sweetheart. It also makes it so much better that he's a sweetheart in real life.
Yeah. We got a bit of Anthony there.
Yes, very much so. Then I think what was also cool was also just hearing Az talk more. As his whole monologue he gave kind of gave me chills listening to his voice. I was like, yeah. We don't hear him very often, but when we do, it's like, it's definitely attractive because it was, hold on, there was like specifically a line that he said. I was kind of like, ooh, okay, I see you. When he said, we beat them yesterday, so when we go into that castle, we'll leave a few reminders that we won the last damn war for a reason.
Dang, sassy Az.
It was, ooh, okay, I see you. I was like, wonder why you like him. Wonder why you do.
I like those quiet, sassy types.
God, now that actually calls us both out, because you like Az for being the silent, sassy type, and I like Cassian for being the direct asshole. What does that... Oh my god.
What does that say about us?
Let's not dwindle on that too much. I just realized that, so let's move on. Not my reasoning or anything.
Hey, you brought it up.
I did. It was my fault. I think what was also a very cute moment was Rhys telling Feyre about his mom's ring.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's such an iconic moment anyway. But it was like the music in the background. It was the level of this very mystical... Sounded very much like a Fate sound. This was meant to be this way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, leading up to the end where he says, let's take it one step further. It was this level of magicalness that I was like, ooh, I really like this. So, again, promoting the graphic audio, as always.
But we're getting better about it being more succinct and more structured and less all over the place.
Because I guess, I think the reason that I tried to take it out of when we actually talk about content is because it makes sense to, right? Because it's mostly us talking about the actual what is happening. I could give you so many other moments of the graphic audio where I was like, oh my god, this, and oh my god, that. I would rather say what my big hit pointers were than saying every individual detail that I was just like, oh yeah, when he said this word, I was
like,
those were my moments where I was like, I was truly blown away by what I heard.
Gasping because you caught someone in the closet.
Sarah in her closets.
I'm just excited because we've got one more main episode, and we're so close, and we get to see a confrontation with Hybern.
Mm-hmm. I know, this is going to be so epic. So so this is the end. So next episode is going to be it. Then it's going to be, we're bringing my dad back and our moms for dude's perspective episode of ACOMAF and the mother's critique episode.
Mm-hmm.
We are so excited to talk about this with them. Oh my god.
Especially the spicy scenes.
They're also really hyped for this. So like I'm excited that they're also hyped.
Yeah.
Because we'll actually be in person with your mom, because both me and my mom are coming down to Liesl's graduation. And so we will all be in person then.
Yeah, so we'll see how the audio goes for that.
Yeah, so I got a new mic set up for that as well. So it's gonna be great. Yeah, so we'll be going through the end of the book, and we only have 3 more episodes left, and then we're ready. We're heading towards ACOTAR, which should give you a sign about how this book is going to end.
Yeah, it literally says war in it.
I know, Sarah, that was so
wings and ruin.
Yes, ACOTAR. So yeah, keep liking, sharing, subscribe. We're almost at 800 downloads. This is insane. I think we're gonna get it by tonight.
It's insane.
Oh my god! Thank you so much for your guys' support. We're upgrading things, so because we want to keep doing this, we want to keep doing this podcast. We love doing this, and we love putting it out there. So you can show us support in any way that would be really helpful. We're in plans of making a Patreon account so that we can add more content to this and see what you guys want to.
Yeah, so since I run the TikTok, starting to put out polls and just questions related to the content that we're releasing, it would help us a great deal if we could get some answers from that. Like one poll that we just posted a little bit ago was just wondering if people would like 2 tiers on our Patreon versus 3 tiers. So something simple like that. But we really want to engage more with our listeners, because we're so grateful for you guys to be listening to us and enjoying us, and we would like to engage back. I mean, I know Tabi always has questions on all of her posts, and so yeah, just comment and answer our questions, and we would just love more engagement.
Yeah, so just follow our Facebook, Instagram, talk, and we will see you guys all in the next episode, the finale.
The finale.
We'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye.